right here. I like TYM's idea on this, where you can, this tube, when these two components are flush with each other, that indicates the level of the bucket. But this is adjustable, so if you put pallet forks on this, the angle's going to change. So you can adjust this so they know that if these two are flush with each other, your forks are level. Or if you have some kind of a specialized grapple on it, you can adjust this so they know the forks are level. And people really appreciate that because they had no indicator on their other tractor. So I tell them, if you're going into loose material, keep this level until you feel resistance, then roll the bucket back and start the mill. Everybody has their own way of doing that. If you tell them to disconnect the loader, the best thing to do is get it on a good flat level place, drop the legs, pull the pins, kick the loader up, shut the tractor off, and neutralize all the pressure on the joystick. And if they don't do that, they can't get their couplers back together because they have pressure on those couplers. Always shut the tractor off and orbit the joystick to neutralize all the hydraulic pressure so they can get those couplers together. These are not a special coupler. It's an ISO coupler, 1/2 inch pipe or ORB. So if you have one leaking, we've had them leak, I go after the O-ring first that's inside, get you a metric O-ring kit, no problem. So that'll stop that. Real cheap, 33-cent O-ring. We've had people not neutralize the pressure, then they call and said, I can't get the damn loader on my tractor, can't get the couplers together. So I'll go out there and tap them with a hammer and get oil all over me, and then I'll put them together. When I commission a cab, I always make sure that they get in, and then I go after the seat. Let's adjust the seat, get yourself comfortable. But also tell them, about the cab post to the right that operates your cab lights and the wipers. And of course they have a rear view mirror, and then these mirrors here that I hit my head on going in and out of the cab. When you're hauling the tractor, make sure you fold your mirrors in. Try to remember that, or you won't have any mirrors when you get to where you're going. And I put the PTO switch on manual. Always leave it on manual, because if they get to messing with it, turn it off, their PTO won't work. So the same slow return valve, indicate or show them how to operate that. They do have tilt wheel in this tractor, and show them that, they'll appreciate that. Now on the 454 and 554, if you get one of those, you're going to see a mode switch if it's a hydrostatic drive. And what that mode does, it controls the dynamic braking. And when you have it in mode, you'll see it's like a triangle there. Mode 1 means that when if you're in road gear and you release the pedal, it'll coast. But if you put it in mode 3 and you're in road gear and you release the pedal, you're going over the steering wheel and over the hood, or maybe in front of the front end loader, because it has a really strong dynamic braking. What that's for is from tedious conditions. If you're running your loader and you're real close to something, and as soon as you let off the pedal, it'll stop. There's no coasting, there's nothing that will push you. If you're trying to back something on a trailer that's heavy, you let off that pedal, it'll stop you right there, and it won't coast the other way. This one here doesn't have that. It's already got the no mode switch. Just remember to tell your customer that when you're in high gear, brace themselves when they let off the pedal. They'll only do it once. So, but the way I feel about that, it had potentiometers on the pedals, and that's another electronic component that can get corrosion. It's a nice feature, but you guys know more connections, more problems. Okay. This tractor does have draft control on the 3-point hitch. Make sure you show them all the amenities in the cab. That's the They have a way to charge their cell phone and a place to put their cell phone. This tractor has a remote control for the radio, which is, it's a good thing to have because you're trying to switch stations, so you can just do it with your remote.
Put the phone down to do that. Oh, I see now people in traffic.
It's doing the iPhone. Here's where draft control will pay off. Draft control will pay off when if your customer is doing some very serious leveling with the box blade, or if they're going to buy a 5-shake pasture renovator they can put on the back of this. What draft does, it controls traction. When you get an implement hooked up that requires draft, it's usually tillage, like a moldboard plow, not a disc plow, but a moldboard plow, not a disc harrow, but anything that goes into the ground and rips, you would want to use draft control. The way to connect that is go ahead and hook your implement up, and you have this pin here. You want to change it to the spot, the hole that has the slot in it. And it's easier if you have the implement on the ground and you extend this to push this forward. And it's easier to take this pin out and put it in here, because it's hard because you have this giant spring here pushing on it. So if you compress this spring with your implement on the ground, it's easier to get this pin out and in here and just leave it. Don't ever take it out. Draft control, the way it works is that when the implement hits something hard, it'll want to launch forward. So as it launches forward, it hits this lever and raises the 3-point. It's real simple, but you're going to see, instead of going in and your implement is gouging and it's jerking you back and forth, it's going to go down in the ground and it's going to regulate that height. So, and your tires won't spin. You're going to end up getting better traction. You're going to end up getting more done in a day because you're always working the lever. You don't have to do that. It controls traction. It's a feature that a lot of tractors this size does not have. But if they learn how to implement this and use this tool that the tractor has, they're going to love it, because they're going to see how well they can do a grading job, or if they are renovating a pasture and they're not fighting it up and down all day long, they're going to realize that they got lucky by getting one of these tractors that has this system on it. The 494 and the 574 both have the good telescopic links on them. They're heavy duty. If you have an implement that you can't get high enough, you have another set of holes, but every tractor has that. If they say, well, I can't get this thing high enough, like a post hole digger, they have a long shank on it, just raise these up. They have that feature. You do have a dipstick. Not so much on this, but you have to on the 394 and the 474. They have a detent on one set of remotes and one without. The detent is the one, basically it turns the remotes on. So if your customer buys a post hole digger that goes on the front end loader, you run your hoses back here, ISO connections, 1/2 inch, plug into here, he flips the lever, that turns it on. Now you can do a third function where you're running, you press the button and it turns the screw on, or you can use this. They use these like your vegetable farmers with the air planter. Mm-hmm. They use that for air planters too, for vegetable farming. So if you get to selling vegetable planters, you will need that system there to operate a good air vegetable planter, precision planter. Just remember to tell your customer not just to look for it and not leave it on, because you can turn that on and superheat your oil. That's the thing that people do forget. But on this tractor here, it's very hard to accomplish that because the levers aren't in in a convenient spot where that could happen. If you put a big Yeti down there or whatever, you have to really try to turn it on. I don't know, for us, when we're loading a tractor or whenever we're doing something with a tractor, the cab doors are always closed, but the back glass is open so we can still communicate. Because the back glass is still cheaper than a door. It's still cheaper than the front glass, and it's quicker to change out. So just remember, try that practice, because keep your cab doors closed. It ain't that bad. And just open this one. Wiper blade's a standard wiper blade. You can get it at any auto parts place. You don't have to have a special TYM wiper blade.